before you even consider using a machine that takes an abrasive wheel, you've got to pay attention to some important safety considerations. Every year there's thousands of people that are injured using grinders and cut-off machines, and a lot of these accidents can be avoided. If you work in industry, you won't even get to go near a machine like this until you've been on a abrasive wheels course, because these are really dangerous machines, and there is quite a lot of legislation that covers the use of machines like this at work and fixed grinding machines, and they're currently covered by PUA regulations and by the abrasive wheels regulations. But there's nothing to stop you going out and buying one of these from a DIY shop or a tool store. These kinds of machines are potentially dangerous if you don't use them correctly and follow all the safety guidelines. So before you even pick a machine up like this, it's important that you've got the correct PPE. So you're going to need a pair of shatterproof glasses which meet the relevant British standard, and also a safety visor. Now I know this one's seen better days, but it does still work and it does protect you from flying sparks. And you also need a pair of industrial gloves, and you may also need a dust mask and ear defenders. It's also advisable to have a good fire extinguisher close by, because when you're grinding metal with one of these, they do create a lot of sparks, and the sparks can set fire to materials close by. So it's essential that you remove any flammables from the area before you start grinding. Also, when you're working in an area, it's important that nobody else can walk into that area, or no pets, especially children. Children and pets have no idea about dangers or anything, and they just walk straight in there. If an animal or a child runs into an area where you're grinding, you could seriously hurt them. So when you pick a machine like this up, the obvious thing you need to do before you fit the blade is remove the battery. Now there's no chance of that starting up when you're fitting the actual blade. With a mains powered model, it's exactly the same. Make sure it's unplugged before you change the wheel. You should always check that your machine's got a safety guide on, like that one or this one. And on this particular model you can just flick the lever up there and you can adjust the angle of the guide. If you ever come to an angle grinder, there's no safety guide on it, don't use it. It's extremely dangerous. You can quite easily slit your own wrists or cut your hand badly if there's no safety guide on, so just don't use it if there's no safety guide on. It's important when you're using a grinder like this that you use the correct disc, and there are several different types. These, for example, are a 1mm metal slitting disc. They are designed for cutting metal, and they can only cut metal straight on. You should never try and grind with the side of this disc or put it down when it's moving. Once you've been using the machine, if you put that down when it's moving, you can actually damage the disc itself, or the actual machine could go flying across the workshop. So you need to be extremely careful. Once you've finished grinding with the machine, you should keep hold of it until the blade stops rotating, and then put it down. Never put it down when the blade's rotating, it's extremely dangerous. And before you mount a blade in the machine, you should always check it and make sure it's not damaged in any way. And a lot of discs do have a date on, because these do actually expire after so long, so you should never store them in damp conditions. If you actually drop that and bang it on the floor, just throw it away, don't even attempt to use it. So you should never use a cutting disc for grinding, and you should never use a grinding disc for cutting. Only use a cutting disc for cutting and a grinding disc for grinding. That's what they're designed for. If you do intend doing a lot of grinding or a lot of cutting using an angle grinder, it's probably a good idea that you go on an abrasive wheels course. They're not that expensive and they are extremely useful, and you will actually learn something by going on the course.